Welcome to the Virtual Strategic Solutions Virtual Reality Simulation System. Accessing Legacy Dataset. Files loaded, simulation ready. Prior to the Great War, the main building was known as the House Resort, with an accompanying golf course belonging to Mr. House. Circa 2277, following the nuclear apocalypse, when the new California Republic began their Mojave campaign, and later came into conflict with Caesar's Legion from the east, the renamed Camp Golf was on the front lines of the First Battle of Hoover Dam. After the Legion's defeat, however, the camp's strategic value waned as General Oliver drew the bulk of the NCR forces to the Hoover Dam, leaving the resort as the regional headquarters for the NCR Rangers under Chief Hanlon, doubling as a communication and quartermaster hub. This has caused no small amount of tension between the Rangers and troopers, as the latter are forced to camp in military tents on the dilapidated golf course, while the former enjoy all the luxuries a pre-war resort provides. Additionally, owing to the camp's position far from the front lines of the impending Second Battle of Hoover Dam, it is considered a dumping ground for washouts and poor performers that no commander wants assigned to their garrison. Nevertheless, the NCR maintains a heavy presence, guarding a large water pipe that extends to the north, providing water to the NCR sharecropper farms and ensuring a constant supply of food for the NCR. Situated on the north shore of Lake Las Vegas, east of the Grub and Gulp rest stop, the camp consists of several tents on the golf course west of the resort building, near which the command tent, infirmary, mess hall and shooting range are located. The perimeter is secured by several watchtowers manned by sentries at all times. South of the resort, the main pipeline providing water to New Vegas exits into Lake Mead. Hailing from California, Hanlon is the head of the NCR Rangers and is one of its longest-serving members. Hanlon served as a ranger for over 40 years, joining before Elise became Ranger Chief around 2241. Over nearly half a century of service, he saw the Rangers grow from a small ragtag group of abolitionists with a clear moral sense into a large professional military force that had trouble telling the good guys from the bad. Many of the things he saw as a ranger changed him and his relationship with the Republic. One of these pivotal moments came between 2256 and 2261, when he led a team of 6 rangers to investigate reports of raider attacks on a small settlement called Rattletail in Baja, California. It took the rangers a week to get to Rattletail, losing one to night stalkers and another nearly dying of dehydration. What they found was a slaughter, including 24 bodies shot dead among the dunes, all by the 5 NCR settlers with .308 rifles, who claimed the only well in 50 miles and opened fire on anyone who tried to reach it. None of the dead were heavily armed or raiders. To prevent further loss of life, Hanlon sold them a story about an incoming raider army, 100 strong, and losing 10 rangers already on the way in. Then he offered to escort the settlers back to the NCR. They took the offer and eventually resettled in Anza Borrego as Bighorner ranchers. He considers this his one good deed in over 40 years of service. Despite his doubts, he served the Rangers and the Republic to the best of his ability. He developed a legendary reputation for his use of misdirection, traps and ambushes, frequently executed with the use of explosives, especially mines. Caesar's Legion learned to respect his name in the wake of the First Battle of Hoover Dam, when his strategy broke up the Legion's offensive by luring the bulk of their forces across the Hoover Dam and literally blowing them up together with Boulder City. Highly influential among the Rangers due to his success and experience, Chief Hanlon has been honored many times for his contributions to the NCR. Although he no longer engages in combat operations, he nevertheless continues to coordinate Ranger operations. As a war hero and a veteran of countless campaigns, he is a powerful influence in military circles and even has the president's ear, though Kimball tends to favor his own coterie of warhawks. This was evident when Hanlon's request to assign veteran Rangers to the Mojave was ignored in favor of deploying them to Baja. The situation is not helped by the bitterness of General Lee Oliver at Hanlon receiving credit for winning the First Battle of Hoover Dam. Given that Oliver and Hanlon don't always see eye to eye on tactical decisions, He has faced an uphill struggle for the past several years. As such, Chief Hanlon took a hard look at the Mojave campaign and came to the conclusion that holding on to the dam and New Vegas would eventually kill the Republic. The war against the Legion has left its toll on the men and women of the NCR Army, and along with his frustrations born from New Vegas bleeding dry NCR soldiers while relying on their protection, has left Hanlon fearing for the future of the NCR, even should they succeed against the Legion. Hanlon believes the task of holding the Colorado River and the frontier safe is too much for the Army or even the Rangers to maintain long term. He decided to deliberately sabotage the war effort by manipulating intelligence reports sent in from ranger stations across the Mojave to convince the brass that the situation was more hopeless than it was in reality. In the end, he wished that the NCR would decide to cut its losses and abandon the frontier. The courier can discover this information and decide how best to handle the situation. A career soldier, McCready volunteered to join the NCR Army at 16. He has stayed in ever since, saying simply, "Man, it's my life," when asked by the courier. McCready's professional competence and enthusiasm for a soldier's life make him a skilled and capable non-commissioned officer, but he has not risen as high as it would seem he should have after so many years of service. The courier can remark on this, prompting McCready to respond that leadership positions get increasingly bureaucratic as one moves up, and that he did not join the Army to drive a desk. McCready has been stationed at Camp Golf for some time, as of 2281, being that it is part of the front line between the NCR and the Legion. One of the teams he is in charge of is nicknamed the Misfits, a group of foul-up soldiers who have bottomed out in their Army careers. McCready has grown greatly frustrated after so many failed attempts at getting them to straighten up, and will welcome the courier's offer of assistance if it is made. McCready remains convinced the Misfits can be made into proper soldiers, even if he cannot imagine how. Doc Sawbones is Camp Golf's medical officer and oversees the health of the Rangers and troops, though he seems very dissatisfied with his position as the camp doctor, as troops will come in with the most minor of injuries. In fact, when the player character tells him they are hurt when they have full health, he openly expresses his frustration. A new Reno native, Mags left the city to make something of herself in the ranks of New California's military. She initially joined the New California Republic Army to become a ranger and become the best of the best, but she did not make the cut and got thrown in with the others who washed out. Even in the regular NCRA, she was stationed with the Misfits, who she has absolutely no faith in. Regardless of what she thinks, she does not tend to lead by example and places the blame squarely on her squad mates. She has become increasingly bitter of being stationed at Camp Golf, as according to her, assignment there is a career ender. O'Hanrahan's family got by with farming 40 acres of farmland, primarily maize and brahmin. Despite some lean years, the family had a good life, until a string of bad harvests forced the family to make some hard decision. His father realized he can't feed a family of 5 without someone starving, so as the oldest child, he was sent to join the army. After leaving his mother, father, and 2 sisters, he went through basic training and was shipped out to New Vegas to be part of the Mojave campaign. Despite his great strength and physically imposing stature, O'Hanrahan is essentially a gentle giant. He likes being assigned to the picturesque Camp Golf and gets along fine with the rest of the squad, despite his dislike for violence and hurting people. He attributes this to the influence of his mother, who always reminded him that he needs to mind himself due to his strength and size. As far as problems with the Misfits are concerned, he believes that they are tied not so much to the absence of rigorous training, but the fact that they don't talk to each other and are mostly just cross with each other. He believes that a little more basic human niceness would go a long way towards getting the squad in shape. He's wary of advancing his proposition to the squad, as he fears they wouldn't take him seriously on account of his straightforward personality. Soldiers tend to be an exceptional type of human, selfless, brave, and unafraid of hard work. Poindexter is none of these things, but he is a self-serving know-it-all with a Hoover Dam-sized ego and thinly veiled contempt for his fellow troopers. To himself, he's a certified genius whom everyone at the camp looks up to. To everyone else, he's an annoying smartass who cannot follow orders. If anyone wonders what someone like Poindexter is doing in the ranks of New California's military, it's simple. He figures that the benefits offered by the army, both in terms of money and prestige, are worth the risk of bodily harm. To minimize the risk to himself, he deliberately rides the mediocrity gradient, doing just well enough to stay in service, but not good enough to be sent to the front lines. That way, he can eventually work his way to a cushy desk job back in New California as technically a veteran. A veteran's pension is an added bonus. Raz was born in slums of the Boneyard and got out the first chance he got, leaving his family behind. He joined the Fiends in the Mojave for a time, but joined the New California Republic Army later, since Fiends tend to not last long when the NCR are around. In his words, he joined because at least this way the badasses with the top-shelf guns would be on his side. He was once addicted to Psycho, but has since kicked the habit. Regardless, he still believes that Psycho is a viable solution to combat problems. In fact, he still has his chem hookups from his days in the Fiends, a man named Jack in Red Rock Canyon. He has a rotten attitude for pretty much everything, like how the NCR Rangers get to stay in the resort while the grunts have to live in tents. His attitude extends to his fellow Misfits. O'Hanrahan is a big pussy, Poindexter a smart-ass prick, and he thinks Mags would make a better prostitute than soldier. He claims that he does not need any one of his squad mates and does just fine on his own. He's on better terms with the Great Khans, to the point they allow him to run a tab for recreational chems. Head to Camp Golf, go to the large tent on the main field outside of the hotel and talk to Sergeant McCready. He expresses his dissatisfaction with the peace around the camp, which leads to inactive and lazy troops, chief among them the group called the Misfits, the most unmotivated, undisciplined squad the NCR's ever had, though the leader Mags admittedly has some promise. His methods have done squat to change that, but he's willing to let the courier try and handle it their way. Go to the Misfits tent, the one at the end of the west side row of tents with the Hole 8 Par 6 sign in front of it. Inside, talk to each of the Misfits to find out 4 different methods for how to improve their circumstances, with positive and negative consequences respectively. Talk to O'Hanrahan about talking to the whole troop about improving teamwork and strengthening their relationships. The courier will need to pass a speech check of 40 to convince Poindexter, Mags and Raz. The courier will gain experience for each party member that is convinced. The courier will receive 40 XP for each of the members convinced, and then 200 XP once complete and positive fame with the NCR. Additionally, the team looks to be working well together. Use Mags's advice and offer to teach the squad real combat tactics. Succeeding will require skill levels in guns and explosives to get the squad to pass the firing and grenade range. Through a series of checks at 25, 35 and 45, and only by completing all 3 for both training sessions will the Misfits be able to fully improve themselves. The player character will receive 200 XP while teaching the squad and positive fame with the NCR. Additionally, the team looks to be working well together. Suggest to Poindexter that the system could be cheated. He'll give the advice to hack the terminal in the house lodge so that the squad doesn't have to do any work. There are 2 hackable computers. The one in the lobby requires no science skill, but it must be accessed when nobody is looking. The other one needs a science skill of 75, but can be accessed at any time. NCR infamy will be gained, and karma will be lost when the player character alters the records. But upon completion of the quest, 200 XP and positive fame with NCR will be received. Listen to Raz, who will have the squad take Psycho. The player character must talk to Jack in Red Rock Canyon to get a suspicious package. Completing this quest gives 200 XP and positive fame with the NCR. No karma is incurred for providing the drugs. Simulation completed. Please exit the pod, or have a technician select another file.